It's mid-October, so it must be time for an EU summit. Leaders gather in Brussels later this week, but although there's plenty of scope for disagreement and heated debate, this one is not a crisis summit. Welcome to this week's Euro Crisis Watch. Well, let's get straight out now to Tom Vosa, Head of Market Economics at National Australia Bank. Tom, lots of stuff coming out from Tokyo, obviously, over the weekend. Let's start with Spain. Sources telling Reuters that Spain will probably seek aid in November, not October. Is this a good thing?
I think, again, if you're the Spanish government, you want to hold out for as long as possible. The fear always was that for Rajoy to go to to ask for a bailout ahead of the regional elections in Catalonia was very unlikely. It might be seen as humiliating if it's the full ESM. The fact that northern European governments have been demanding conditionality, clearly for Spain, means that they really don't want to do it unless they have to. They generally are supposed to be running out of cash towards the end of November, very much like Greece, so I think that's really where the reports of a delay have come from. But the key thing for the Spanish government is that the IMF are vaguely now rowing back from austerity, and their hope is the longer they wait, the more they spin it out, the more concessions they will get from Europe. And I think this Leaders' Summit will be about the Spanish government trying to get more concessions. They want conditionality light. They do not want a full ESM programme.
You mentioned the IMF and also coming out of the IMF World Bank meetings in Tokyo. Christine Lagarde giving the clear indication that the IMF didn't realise the extent to which austerity would hit recession-hit economies. She's definitely backpedalling on that now, isn't she?
Yes, agencies such as the IMF will never give you a mea culpa. After all, their advice was always correct, given what was known at the time. But what they've had a look into are the so-called fiscal multipliers. They used to think it was around half of 1%. So if you cut your government spending or you consolidated your finances by around a full percentage point of GDP, the impact on growth would only be 0.5%. And so in some cases, austerity was good because it would be offset by lower interest rate costs and the private sector could take over. They've now found out that actually the multiplier is perhaps 3 times as large for some countries. And in that case, if you do fiscal consolidation of 1% of GDP, actually GDP falls by 1.5 percentage points. So the IMF are now saying, well, perhaps we went a little bit too far, a little bit too fast with austerity. And here is the theoretical background, the theoretical underpinnings of perhaps within the Eurozone, a pushback on austerity, delay it for another couple of years until demand conditions are stronger.
Well, that would appear to be good news then for for most countries who find themselves in the same boat. Not everyone's in the same boat as Greece, though. There's some more talk, more suggestions on how Greece can get itself out of its fix. This time using ESM cash to buy back its bonds.
Yes, I mean, the whole idea here again is how are we going to have another haircut for Greece? Basically, the debt stock now, even after the private sector initiative, is still too high. The hope here is perhaps by purchasing bonds at a discount, Greece can effectively do another round of haircut, reduce the value of its outstanding debt and make sure that the debt dynamics are more tractable. The problem Greek government has is even if the IMF thinks they should be given a 2-year extension, the word out from Germany is Greece still has further consolidation to do. You get the feeling that they will continue to put a lot of pressure on Greece to essentially carry on with austerity measures. They still have another €2.5 billion to find, and I think the IMF comments really won't apply to the Greek government as far as Northern Europe is concerned, but perhaps better news for Portugal, Spain, Ireland, and indeed non-programme countries. So
just to be clear on this, this idea of buying back bonds with ESM cash, do you think this is a goer or not?
I think it's actually, it can be seen as positive because it's the OSI in disguise. It's an official, essentially, sector initiative. It will reduce the outstanding level of debt as long as they can purchase it at a discount. It's a way of doing it without anybody admitting the fact. It can be seen as voluntary, so you're not going to trigger CDS. So it's a slightly more elegant way of doing it. But remember, we're still ending up at the end place. The level of Greek debt is too high. It needs to be reduced further. Only this time it's going to be the official sector that will be that will be taking the haircut. OK, just to finish up, Tom, very briefly, if you can, what can we expect to hear and see from the from the summit communique on Friday? I think we can continue to hear the fact that they wish to break the links between banks and sovereigns. There'll be some comments on Spain directed towards that. I do think there will be pressure on Spain to perhaps carry through with an OMT, but we think that is only likely in January of next year. What we want to find out is, given the IMF has given everybody a nod and a wink to end austerity, do we see comments about the need for a medium-term fiscal framework and perhaps some signs that policy will be loosened in France, in Germany, in the Netherlands, core Europe, growing Europe, but if they can perhaps ease fiscal policy, then the Eurozone as a whole might grow a little bit better in 2013.
OK, Tom, thank you very much. My thanks
you.
there to Tom Vosa from National Australia Bank. That's all for now, but do join us tomorrow at noon London time for Market Pulse, a look at what's moving on financial markets and why. I'm Jamie McGeever. This is Reuters.